Hi, I need you to come to my house. My son wants to turn himself in for the Jessica Ridgeway murder.
Okay, what's the address?
After interviews, after everything at the scene has led that we have finally located the remains of all 4 children.
Sarah and Jeremiah Bryant were residents of Westminster, Colorado, a city with a population of 100,000 in North America. In 2002, they welcomed their only child, Jessica. Known for her cheerful and helpful nature, Jessica was adored by her friends and teachers for displaying a maturity beyond her years. Over time, Sarah decided to part ways with her husband, Jeremiah, who relocated to Missouri. Sarah and Jessica remained in Colorado, residing with Sarah's mother, Christine, in a safe neighborhood that allowed Jessica to walk just a kilometer to school from their home. On the morning of October 5, 2012, Sarah returned home after a night shift and discovered that Jessica was still asleep. That day, Jessica was expected to walk to school with her friend Jeremy. Sarah confirmed the plan with Jeremy's father over the phone, since Jeremy's house was just 300 meters from Jessica's. Jessica left home around 8:30 a.m. while her mother went to rest. Sarah awoke around 4 p.m. to realize that Jessica had not returned. Upon checking her phone, she found messages indicating that Jessica had been absent from school all day, causing great concern. Sarah then visited Jeremy's house but received no response at the door. Convinced that something was amiss, Sarah dialed 911 in a panic to report her daughter missing.
Yeah.
Okay, what's going on there?
My daughter's missing. I guess she never made it to school this morning.
How old's your daughter?
She's 10.
Okay.
A police team soon arrived at Sarah's residence, while others reached out to Jeremy's father, who verified that they had waited for Jessica until 8:40 a.m., but she never arrived, and Jeremy proceeded to school alone. Based on these accounts, it was evident that a troubling incident had occurred to Jessica that morning, likely between her home and Jeremy's. The news of Jessica's disappearance swiftly circulated, sparking a large-scale search involving helicopters and search dogs. Naturally, Jessica's parents, Sarah and Jeremiah, were initially suspected due to suspicions of a custody dispute. However, Jeremiah's alibi at his workplace in Missouri was quickly confirmed, removing him from the suspect list. When asked if he suspected anyone, Jeremiah mentioned that he had no suspicions and firmly believed that Sarah was incapable of harming their daughter.
Then I go to her friends and her friend's not answering, and you kind of lose a little more hope. You go to the school and, nobody, had seen her, and you lost a little bit more hope. And you go to her friend's house and still you don't hear anything, and then you get the pit in your stomach that you don't want any parent to ever experience in their whole entire life, that your child has just been taken. That is not ever.
It is by far the worst thing I've ever been through. It still is.
Days passed with no sign of Jessica, leading to the growing belief that she had either been abducted or encountered foul play. A new lead emerged 2 days after Jessica's disappearance, when her backpack was found in the town of Superior, 10 kilometers from her home. The backpack was promptly reported to the police. Identification was possible thanks to a water bottle with her name attached to it. Although the discovery initially sparked hope for the police, it was short-lived. Among the items inside the backpack were Jessica's shoes and glasses. Upon further inspection of the bag, an unidentified DNA sample was found, which was then entered into the CODIS system. Surprisingly, This DNA matched that from an attack near Kettner Lake on May 28, 2012. 5 months before Jessica's disappearance, a female runner had been assaulted by a man who forced an unknown substance into her mouth and tried to drag her into nearby bushes. The woman was able to escape and alert the police. The suspect was described as a white male, aged between 20 and 25, approximately 5'7" tall, with an average build. 5 days after Jessica's disappearance, a small body, or rather a part of a body, was discovered in an open area 10 kilometers from Westminster. It wasn't a complete corpse, but rather a torso missing several parts and organs. The body appeared to have been washed, with a wooden cross found placed in the victim's genital area. No visible wounds were observed on the torso. Subsequent investigations confirmed that the remains indeed belonged to Jessica Ridgeway, bringing a tragic conclusion for her family. In the following days, police visited hundreds of residents in Jessica's neighborhood, collecting DNA samples and entering them into the system. Several individuals were considered suspects, including Jessica's mother, Sarah, who lacked an alibi for the time her daughter went missing. Sarah Ridgeway was viewed as the prime suspect in her daughter's murder, yet she remained cooperative and understanding during the investigation. On October 17th, detectives contacted a woman named Mindy Sigg, who lived nearby with her 2 sons. While there was no reason to suspect Mindy or her children, their home was not searched. Only their statements regarding the disappearance were recorded. However, just 2 days later, a neighbor of Mindy's left a voicemail on an FBI tip line. According to the neighbor's statement, Mindy would often joke about her 17-year-old son Austin's fascination with death, which the neighbor found peculiar. This raised suspicions that Austin might be involved in the murder. Austin Sigg was born on January 17, 1995, and he lived with his mother in Westminster. His academic journey was fraught with challenges. Struggling to adapt to school, he was diagnosed with attention deficit disorder at age 12. Often ridiculed and seen as odd, he eventually chose to drop out during his junior year of high school. Intrigued by death and mortuary science, Austin enrolled in a community college where he experienced his first real success. Excelling frequently at school-sponsored crime scene investigation competitions, he was further fueled in his interest in the field. Austin's father had an extensive criminal record, including bank fraud, domestic violence, and assault. While his mother, Mindy, remained a loyal supporter, she was unaware of her son's deeper needs. When 2 detectives visited Mindy's apartment to inquire about a disappearance, Austin confidently and calmly answered their questions. The detectives, as with others in the area, asked for a DNA sample from Austin. After collecting the samples and sending them in blank envelopes, a no match was represented by a blank envelope. A few days later, a blank envelope was returned to Austin, indicating no match. However, just 4 days later, a call from Mindy Sigg would change everything.
Hi, this is Molly at Westminster Police. Can I help you?
Hi, I need you to come to my house. My son wants to turn himself in for the Jessica Ridgeway murder.
Okay, what's the address?
10622 West 102nd Avenue.
And what's going on there? Ma'am,
Not hear me? He just confessed to killing her.
I know. I want you to tell me what's going on. Can you tell me exactly what he said?
But he did it, and he gave me details, and her remains are in my house.
Did you see them?
No.
Is he there with you?
Yes.
Is he cooperative?
Yes.
How old is your son?
17.
Hold on 1 second. What is your son's name?
Austin Sigg.
Can you spell it? You said Austin?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and spell his last name for me.
S as in Sam, I-G-G.
Okay, I understand that you're probably, feeling pretty crappy right now, but I want you to know that you did the right thing. By calling?
He did it. He just wanted me to call. He is turning himself in.
Okay. Do you think that he's going to be cooperative with the officers?
Absolutely.
Okay. And I just want to verify you're at 10622 102 Avenue.
Yeah.
Do you think that Austin would talk to me?
Will you talk to him? Yeah, hold on.
Okay.
Hello?
Is this Austin?
Yes, it is.
Hi, Austin. This is Molly at the Westminster Police Department.
Hi.
Can you tell me a little bit about what's going on right now, or how you're feeling, or how did this come about?
I don't exactly get why you're asking these questions. I murdered Jessica Ridgeway.
Okay.
I have proof that I did it. There is no other question. You just have to send a squad car, something down here, and
Right.
I will answer all the questions that you want to ask, or anyone wants to ask of me as soon as you gotta get down here.
Okay. Austin, I have a police officer.
On the call, Mindy's tone was cold and distant, struggling to accept her son's confession. The operator asked where Jessica's remains were located. Mindy disclosed that they were in a void within their house and admitted her son's involvement in the Kettner Lake incident. After the conversation, the police swiftly searched Austin and Mindy Sigg's home for Jessica's remains. Austin Sigg was detained and interrogated by detectives who wanted to understand what had happened on October 5th.
Go on and tell me what happened after you grabbed her.
She screamed and I told her to be quiet, and I used zip ties to zip tie her hands and legs together, and I hopped in front of my car and I drove around for probably 10-20 minutes. I asked her if she had a cell phone, looked for that. She kept asking me questions, and I would answer them, and I would lie to her. I would tell her that everything was going to be okay, and I took her up to my room, and I sat her in my room. After that, I asked her to change into a pair of a shirt and shorts that I had, and I let her go into the bathroom to do that, and she came back, told her to put all her clothes in her backpack and get her backpack ready and everything to go back.
Well, when you went out that morning, Friday morning, October 5th, which was early in the morning, and you drove over to Jessica's neighborhood, what were you planning on doing that day?
I had the intent of picking up any female that came across where I was. That it didn't matter what time, where, it just anything.
So you were...
Austin questioned why the DNA sample taken from him did not match. Shockingly, the detectives revealed that the sample had been lost and never tested. However, they had still chosen to send a blank envelope. Following his confession, his DNA was retested, and it matched the DNA found on Jessica's backpack. Apart from the murder, Austin faced 15 charges connected to the Kettner Lake incident. He was convicted of first-degree murder and attempted second-degree kidnapping. In November 2013, he received a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Before we dive into our next story, if you could take a moment to hit that like button, it would mean the world to us. A single click for you is a huge boost of encouragement for us. Michael Jones, born in Vermont on May 1, 1981, endured a challenging childhood marked by abuse from his father and poverty. His father's incarceration during his youth led to his mother being in a relationship with a man who also inflicted similar harm. Seeking a sense of normalcy, Michael enlisted in the U.S. Navy as a health officer after graduating from high school. While serving, he met and married his first wife, Sarah, and they started a family. Managing the hurdles of fatherhood, Sarah helped him secure a job at a local veterinary clinic, where he transitioned from the Navy to take on a managerial role. This career switch not only brought relief, but also introduced him to a new love interest, Casey. Casey, born on December 23, 1986 in Indiana, relocated to Florida after completing high school. She began working as a dog sitter before progressing to a veterinary technician. Known for her gentle demeanor, she struck up a friendship with Michael at the clinic, which eventually blossomed into a romantic relationship. Both had experienced divorces and blended their families, raising Cameron and Preston, Casey's children, alongside their own kids, Mercalli, born in December 2016, and Ayanna, born in August 2018. Casey, renowned for documenting her children's milestones, initiated a YouTube channel to capture their daily lives, emanating contentment. By 2019, Casey's friends noticed changes in her communication style. She interacted less with them and stopped making plans. Her messages didn't seem to match her usual tone. Another concerned individual was Casey's ex-husband, Richard, the father of Preston and Cameron. On August 1st, Casey's mother, Nikki, received a message from her daughter's phone, asking her to take care of the grandchildren for a few weeks. When Nikki arrived to collect the children, Michael greeted her, but Casey was nowhere to be seen. For over 3 weeks, no one had seen or spoken to Casey, nor had they received any calls from her. The situation was growing increasingly strange. 5 days after, on August 22nd, Preston's birthday, Richard sent his son birthday wishes but received no response. Meanwhile, the Jones family's landlords issued an eviction notice, giving them 2 weeks to vacate. Amidst these abnormalities, Florida faced one of its most powerful hurricanes, Hurricane Dorian.
96 hours to gain strength in very warm.
During this disaster, Michael took the children to stay with Sarah in the north for 10 days. While the Jones family was away, neighbors reported foul smells coming from their home, eventually alerting the landlord. Despite the house still being full of furniture and belongings, they were certain the terrible odor stemmed from something deceased. Alongside these awful smells, there was no word from Casey and the children, and their family and friends feared the worst. Moved by concern, Nikki took action. On September 14, 2019, 66 days after Casey was last seen, Nikki contacted the police to request a welfare check. The responding officers initially spoke with neighbors of the Jones family, who mentioned not having had any contact with the family for over 2 weeks. Detecting strange odors, the officers approached the Jones house, which seemed to have been recently tidied up. With the landlord's authorization, they entered the residence. What they found inside was so disturbing that they had to exit the premises. Nonetheless, the details they gathered prompted them to prioritize establishing contact with the Jones family. Despite their efforts, they were unable to reach the family, resulting in the eventual filing of missing person reports. These reports were disseminated on Facebook, shedding light on the disappearance of Casey, Preston, Cameron, Mercalli, and Ayanna, indicating that they might be in danger. Later that same day, around 400 kilometers from the Jones family residence, police were summoned to a traffic accident. Michael Jones had crashed the family car into a concrete sewer tunnel, but emerged unharmed. Detecting an unpleasant smell emanating from the vehicle, the police questioned Michael, who delivered a shocking revelation.
First of all, thank you for everybody being here. We're here because of the missing mother, along with her 4 children. Obviously, most everyone here already knows that we have identified her because my detectives have tirelessly been working for the last 24 hours to find them. But unfortunately, true evil poked its head up here in Marion County. That's about the only best way to describe it. Michael Jones was located in Brantley County, Georgia, following a traffic crash. That's where the mother's body was found in the vehicle. And then we have also pretty much found...
He confessed to having murdered his wife days earlier and disclosed that her body was inside the vehicle. The authorities immediately called for backup, and Michael continued to divulge more unsettling information. He admitted to the killings of their children and even offered to reveal the burial locations.
After interviews, after everything at the scene has led that we have finally located the remains of all 4 children.
Michael was promptly arrested, taken into custody, and later that evening, Marion County Police made a tragic discovery. Cameron, Preston, Mercalli, and Ayana's bodies were found buried under a large mound of earth just off Highway 301. The heart-wrenching news devastated their relatives, underscoring the immense scale of the tragedy, which proved profoundly distressing for everyone involved. Richard Bowers mourned the loss of his children and former wife. Nikki had to bury her daughter and 4 grandchildren. Sarah was deeply affected by the events, having unknowingly spent more than a week in close proximity to a murderer during Hurricane Dorian. During his initial interrogation, Michael remained composed and cooperative, even expressing thankfulness for being apprehended. According to Michael, the tragic sequence of events unfolded following an argument with Casey, who had accused him of infidelity with another woman. Michael refuted these accusations, further escalating the conflict between them. The tension reached a breaking point when Casey confronted Michael with a baseball bat. In a moment of chaos, Michael managed to wrest the bat from her, spiraling out of control as he fatally beat her. He then placed her body in a plastic bag, cleaned up any visible bloodstains, and concealed it in a closet at home while their 4 children were asleep. After Casey's tragic death, Michael began using her phone to send messages to her friends and family in an attempt to make them believe she was still alive. 31 days following Casey's murder, Michael decided to also take the lives of his 2 stepsons. He started by killing Cameron, then the following night suffocated Preston as well. As time went on, and Florida's humid climate hastened the decomposition of the bodies, Michael resorted to using cat litter to absorb the putrid smells. By August 23rd, the odor became overwhelming, coinciding with an eviction notice. Realizing he could no longer keep the bodies in the home, Michael opted to change the flooring on August 28th. Though he initially planned to turn himself in at the police department alongside his 2 daughters, he hesitated on a park bench. Upon his return home, Michael revealed his true nature by suffocating his 2 biological daughters. 2 days after these tragic events, he drove to Sarah's house with the 5 bodies in the trunk. At the time of their passing, Casey was 33 years old, Cameron, 10, Preston, 5, Mercalli, 2, and Ayana, only 11 months old. Michael's trial began on December 8, 2022, where he faced 5 counts of first-degree murder. Due to his admissions, Michael was given a life sentence without the possibility of parole, with the death penalty also under consideration. His defense team attempted to save his life, painting Casey as an abuser and highlighting Michael's own abusive upbringing at the hands of his father and stepfather. However, the prosecution persisted, underscoring the 49-day span of the murders as evidence of Michael's calculated callousness. In April 2023, Michael Jones was sentenced to death for the murders of the 4 children and life imprisonment for his wife's murder. Before we conclude this video, please be aware that the video on the left may be disturbing. It is recommended for adult viewing only. On the right, you'll find a playlist of videos that have been highly appreciated by our viewers.